Spider-Man is currently in the MCU for the time being. Deadpool is on his way to the MCU. Could a crossover happen? Very likely. But the Deadpool creator himself doesn't believe that there is any way that they're gonna do this, and it's because of logistics behind the scenes, so let's talk about all this. So Rob Liefeld, the creator of Deadpool, has recently been doing the rounds. He did a audio commentary of Deadpool. He really wanted to talk about how he would use the character if he was asked in the MCU and some of the interactions. Now, of course, one of the big things that people want Deadpool to do in the MCU is to team up with Spider-Man. Naturally, these two characters, in the comics, they have a pretty weird, interesting relationship, to say the least. So how would you transition that, and can you? And while Rob Liefeld wouldn't give, his exact big take on it, because he probably hasn't really thought of it too much, he did have an interesting kind of look into why it might never happen, which is linked down below, and it's also up on the screen, and I'll tell you what he said. And I quote, "See, now there you go. But my imminent reaction is that he's a Sony property. I know that you don't fully understand what that interaction is. If you told me that Deadpool was going to run through the next 10 minutes of a Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man and Deadpool is the biggest pairing. I just don't understand the Sony-Disney relationship. As I understand it, it's a movie at a time, right? I always go, what does Disney have? Sony is a different animal." So what he's trying to say is, it's pretty much Sony's court, right, when it comes to how they use Spider-Man and where and what happens. And to use Deadpool, that would also have to be a big agreement between the people that are in charge of Deadpool, which happens to be Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios. So would Marvel Studios want Deadpool to appear in a Spider-Man film? And would Sony allow Spider-Man, specifically the one that's in the MCU, to appear in a R-rated Deadpool film? Again, there's a lot of questions because they just don't know how this would be received. Now, assuming there's a couple R-rated, Sony movies coming out down the road, like Venom 2, and Spider-Man happens to be in that, then again, things could change. But I think for right now, everybody's kind of playing careful with each other, and I'm just looking at what the other person does. And as Liefeld says, it's a different animal when it comes to Sony because they're in this for a different reason. Sony's fighting for survival. Disney has Spider-Man as a sort of, little dash of sprinkles on the best cake you've ever seen. And if they take those little sprinkles away, sure, there'll be a few fans that are like, well, man, you took away some of those sprinkles, now I like extra sprinkles, but I'll still eat the cake. Sony's not in that position, which is why they went back to the drawing board with Disney. So again, it's a big question mark, and not even he knows and has an idea of what would happen.